podcast with me, Dr. Amie Burbridge.
And me, Dr. Ben Lovell.
Fab. Ben, I'm going to talk to you about a case. And
Thank you.
Just brief, and I want your thoughts. So this is a 45-year-old female who presents to the acute medical department most days. I guess you could say that they're a frequent attender. And always has the same symptoms. And she describes palpitations, nausea, headache, and exhaustion. And upon further questioning, you don't really get down into what's really going on. Examination is entirely normal. The pulse is normal, doesn't feel tachycardic. An ECG is done and it's again normal. And no real past medical history of note, to be honest. Doesn't take any medication, although does have quite significant migraines, and has tried a few things on and off throughout the years to try and help with those. No smoking, no alcohol, enjoys the gym, but nothing else of note really, but keeps coming back time and time again every day, and every day complains of these symptoms, and every day asks for help. What are your thoughts?
Oh, gosh. I mean, coming back every day after they've already been assessed and we can't find, I'm not saying there isn't but we cannot find a diagnosis is tough. I always get nervous that every time they come back, we reassess them, we're somehow reinforcing the attendance because they think I'm going to go back and see them again. And when you work in acute medicine, where we give acute care by definition, and SDEC is same-day emergency care, it's very difficult to try and communicate to patients, look, I'm sorry, but you don't have an urgent issue. You don't have an acute issue. You don't have a same-day emergency issue. You've got to stop coming. And that can be really difficult. The only thing that I sometimes do, just to get everything out on the table, is when they keep coming back with symptoms and they say, something's wrong, and you haven't found out what is to say to them, what is going on? You tell me, you must have some ideas. What are you worried about? I don't know. I cannot find a diagnosis for you. What do you worry that you have, or what do you think is going on? You know your body. And I sometimes see if they give you any glimmers or insights from that point of view, or something something come up.
And you're absolutely right. In these situations where people have the same symptoms on and off for quite a long time, and examinations normal, investigations, so your full blood count, USANEs, LFTs, thyroid function, they're all normal. The investigations to look for the premenopause, they're all completely normal, and everything's normal. But the individual is convinced there is something seriously wrong and says, could this be, occasionally I'll get pins and needles in both my hands, could this be multiple sclerosis? Could this be something serious going on? I need some reassurance here. There's got to be something serious going on. I walk up the stairs and my legs are aching. I'm exhausted. All I ever want to do is sleep. When I go to bed, I can't sleep because my mind is racing, and I wake up and it's just feelings of dread. And actually, sometimes just listening to them and just listening can be really helpful.
Validating it. Sometimes we forget to say, because we assume it's meant, but we need to say it is, gosh, that sounds awful. This sounds terrible for you. And sometimes I have to remind myself to say it, because I think that is conveyed often in what I am saying, but it does not coming over. So I always remind myself to say, oh, this sounds really difficult for you. Gosh, you've really gone through it, not in a patronizing way, but just I can appreciate this has been a really, really tough time for you, and you've got all these symptoms. I wish I could give you an explanation to help you make sense of all of this, but it's nothing that we've been able to untangle here. We've done extensive blood work. I'm assuming we've looked for Addison's disease, we've done cortisols, we've checked thyroid, she's not anemic. Has she got MS? Is that a valid concern? I've done a full neuro exam, and if I think that MS is really, really unlikely, have I explained this is why I think MS is not the diagnosis here? Very often, not very often actually, not that often at all, but I do remember it. Patients who don't know what an MRI is and what it looks for, but they know it's a really good test, sometimes say, I want an MRI.
So an MRI head was done.
Okay. And sometimes we sort of call them a little bit cynically a therapeutic MRI, because we say they just really, they had an MRI and their symptoms improved because they we relieved their anxiety and they knew they didn't have the brain tumor or the MS or
Mm.
something like that. And please do no one listen to this and say, oh, just MRI or your repeat
No,
attenders with health anxiety, because then they'll get better. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But it's a phenomenon I've noticed before. Did her symptoms improve after the MRI showed there was no central nervous system demyelination?
no, no.
Okay,
So
unfortunate.
I guess um, probably now's a good time to say that that person who was presenting and going to the acute medical department every day was me. And I wasn't presenting to SDEC every day with those symptoms. I was working in SDEC every day with those symptoms. And I, even talking about it now, I can feel my heart racing and my anxiety coming back. Because for me, that was my body's way of saying this is enough. You need a break. You're exhausted. You are completely and utterly broken and burnt out. And I guess it all came to a head when I was driving home from work and I crashed my car. And I don't really remember what happened. Nobody was hurt. I wasn't hurt. It wasn't a bad accident. But I called my best friend and I was like, Julie, I've crashed my car and I don't really know what's happened. And the police turned up. And she said to me afterwards, I don't know what was going on, but you weren't right. And I spoke to a friend the next day and she sat me down and she said, Amie, these symptoms that you have, you're not well. You're actually mentally unwell. And I was like, whatever. And I actually was. And I had been, and probably am still to a certain extent, suffering from complete and utter burnout, which I never want anybody to have to experience because it is really, really awful. And I didn't go to work because I couldn't. And for the first month, I think I slept a lot because I actually physically was exhausted. I was mentally exhausted. Getting up, cooking, washing was really challenging. And I remember talking to NHS Practitioner Health, who are a phenomenal service, phenomenal in the UK. And she said to me, I think you might be depressed as well. And I was like, no, I'm not depressed. There's nothing wrong with me. And it's often when you need a bit of time to reflect and go, actually, yes, I am depressed and I am burnt out and I am anxious and I need some help. The way that that presented itself at work was not only the anxiety, the palpitations, the nausea. Honestly, Ben, I can't describe how awful it was. It felt like I was watching myself at work. I didn't feel like I was working. That might sound crazy, and I know people will be listening going, what's she talking about? It felt like I was watching somebody else work. And there's part of burnout is depersonalization.
I was going to say that sounds like deperson or derealization,
Mm.
which maybe had something to do with your mindset set when you had the car accident as well, and you just
Yeah.
did not feel yourself.
I have no idea what was going on and very negative spiral. I'm an awful doctor. I'm an awful person. Everything was negative. I resented everything and everyone, which isn't me. And I took no enjoyment at all. So another one is lack of enjoyment. And another symptom is very negative, being very negative at work. Everything's awful, everything's terrible, jumping to the wrong conclusions. I mean, I'm quite an emotional person anyway, but I mean, I think I cried a lot, even more than normal, and I would get very angry, very, very quickly, and get cross at people. And when people were talking to me, I would think they were being horrible about me or to me, and that wasn't the situation. But you get into that mindset that I don't know. It's really hard to describe. And actually, I don't think I can still probably fully describe it because I'm probably still in it a little bit. Um,
Well, I imagine it's not something that simply switches off or goes away. It's something that takes a while. It takes a while to come on and a while to taper off at the other end. But I think talking honestly about burnout to me, I always appreciate it when someone speaks up because it's not a voice you hear very much. And I think it's useful for you to list here what your symptoms were, because I'm sure there are people listening who are thinking, but I've got this. And I thought I was going mad or something. But you talked about derealization, depersonalization. You talked about having a very short fuse. You've talked about personality change. You've talked about physical manifestations, so changes to your sleep pattern, palpitations, tired all the time. You talk about not taking enjoyment in things you like going to the gym, going to work. People who listen to this podcast, they often when they write a letter saying, "Oh, it's so nice hearing people who love medicine talk about medicine," and we do. So that's why
Oh yeah, I love my
that's
job.
it's
Love
so
my
it's so
job.
weird to hear for
Yeah,
you because it's not you, it's not the
not
Amie that I
me.
know. It's not the Amie you know, it's not the Amie that our listeners know. So that kind of real change in personality. And I think mentioning these symptoms are really, really important. And you said you got some really good help from the practitioner health program.
Oh,
What did
phenomenal.
they do for you?
So I reached out to them. It's an online form that you complete, and they got back in touch with me in about 24 hours. And you have an initial assessment with a clinician who's usually a doctor within the NHS. And I met with them for 2 hours. Genuinely changed my life because for the first time in my 20-year career, I talked to somebody about the effect that work has on me. Again, it's professional identity, and it's really sad that when I think about who I am and what I am, I'm a doctor. Yes, I'm a mom. Yes, I'm a wife. I'm a friend. But being a doctor is so intrinsic to me. It's in my blood. You'd cut me in half and there'd be NHS everywhere.
Mm,
For that to go was really
mm,
scary. And I think it's probably been building up, to be honest, probably post-pandemic. The pandemic was really tough on us. And I loved my job then. But I think the toll of that, and it is really difficult working in the health service at the moment. Um, I still love my job. I love seeing patients. I guess it's just what I'm passionate about. But sometimes I feel like I can't do or be a doctor that I want to be anymore because of the pressures on the service. And I've changed. I'm older. I don't think I can probably run around SDEC anymore like I used to. Not that I'm really old, but I don't know. But I hid my symptoms for a long time. I'm really good at pretending I'm okay. And I shouldn't have done that because I was in a pretty bad place. And I remember driving home from work. This was a week before I crashed my car. And I was pulling around the roundabout. There's Tesco's by where I work. And there was this lorry coming around. And I was like, oh God, wouldn't it be good if that lorry crashed my car? Not if it injured me, but just so as I can have some time off.
wow.
And I was like, what is going on in my head?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and, I think if there's one person listening to this who goes, that's me, and just takes a step back, talks to somebody, and takes some time out, that is amazing. NHS practitioner health cannot describe their brilliance. I now speak to a clinician once every 2 weeks, and I also have therapy as well with a psychotherapist. And they are trained for people, they train specifically to work with people in the NHS who are burnt out. So they really understand, and it's become apparent that the way I am, why I am, and the type of doctor I am now is because of things that I've done wrong or cases that I've done, or, they have a massive impact on who we are and how we practice. And it's only now that I'm realizing that one throwaway mark from someone or that one thing imprints us, and it imprints our DNA and it makes us who we are. So I guess what I want people to listen to this and go, I know it's not our typical episode, but number one, I never want anybody to have to experience what I have. If at all you're feeling any of these symptoms that we've talked about, reach out to somebody, your supervisor, a colleague, a friend, a partner, anyone, and just say, look, I'm really struggling. Reach out to us, please, because we're always there to help. And NHS practitioner health are fantastic. Doctors in distress, they've also got a really good service as well. The BMA, the MPS, they also have services that can help doctors and allied health professionals and nurses, support each other. But the most important thing, Ben, we need to talk about this. We need to not hide it anymore. We need to talk about it.
And that's what we're doing today. And Amie and I would like people to know that if you feel that work is making you ill, the website is www.practitionerhealth.nhs.uk. You can self-refer. You do not need a referral from anywhere else. You can fill in a form. And as Amie says, they will see you virtually or call you very, very quickly and they will help. So please don't suffer in silence. And I hope, Amie, I hope today's a good day.
Do you know what? Today's a great day. I taking time off. I've taken time off work, and I found myself again, which has been bizarre. I'm like, and it's only on reflection I've gone, the last 2 years I haven't really been me. And probably to the annoyance of everybody else, they're like, oh God, crazy Amy's back. The one who wants to dance and sing and go out all the time. So, I've refound things that I love doing, like my garden and singing lessons and all these crazy things. And I just feel like I'm me again,
Good.
which has been brilliant. But, it's taken a bit of time and a long road to get there, but I've done it. And again, practitioner health and also my GP, brilliant. Absolutely fantastic GP I spoke to who listened to me. And so please reach out to those people out there. Do not suffer in silence.
Thank you so much, Amy, for talking so honestly, because it's not easy to do. And
Really
I'm glad to see
yeah.
Amy back as well. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you, Ben.
So a funny little bite-sized episode for us, but we think an important one.
Yeah, absolutely. And please reach out to us. Please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Home of Medicine podcast, a podcast brought to you by the EFIM Academy in association with the European Federation of Internal Medicine, a leading organisation in internal medicine. Thanks for listening.